electromagnetic frequency, that pulse wave that comes in, that's not ordinary. And I liken to this purple and pink light as now, after the fact, me being exposed and my technology, my flux capacitor in my body turning on and literally, oh, sorry. I have company. Literally turning on. Okay. And disrupting my batteries. Okay. So needless to say, started to travel back. Many of you know, big up to the Zombies. They were kind of on with me while I flew. I love that they kept me company some of the way. I had to drive, you know, I had to come through. I flew from Brazil, went into Colombia, and then went into Mexico. Okay. That was my route and so on. But what I noticed is that when I came back home, is that normally when you come back home, you have access to only your DOMES criteria, environment. Oh, Bridget, stop, Fleur. I'm one of your regulars, but not so regular listeners, and want to show you some love and graduate to you for sharing your beautiful insight on us. Oh, thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Mama. I appreciate it. Yeah, the phone and New Orleans did the same, right, Selma, when we were at the conference. So, you want me to sing? I'm not a singer. I can't sing. You hear me sing, it's not going to be, it's going to be a frog. So what happened is that when I came back, I assumed that when I came back that I would access my regular terrain. And I am now accessing all of the different realms that I didn't even have access to before. And this is now going on another day. And I realized that my flux capacitor has now activated and I now have access outside the domes. I have access to all of the domes I cross simultaneously. And makes me think that there's some sort of translucency. Remember, it's plasma. The more petrified the dome is, the more petrified the plasma is. When you become faster in speed, it melts the plasma. Plasma becomes more permissible, more permeable. But I realized that my flux capacitor has literally turned on, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that goes along with what are some of the criteria of a type of, according to the movie, what is needed in the flux capacitor. So in the movie, if many of you watch with Michael J. Fox in any one of the movies that you watch with Doc is the scientist that created the traveling car, which you'll see in a lot of, back in the days, you go to Universal. Can you see me? Y'all put a 13 or you guys can't see me, can you? Oh my God, this is crazy. Can you guys see me? You can. Oh my God, that was so freaky. Y'all, I don't know what happened. I saw a flash with like an image and I don't know what it was. And then all of a sudden the phone said, and just would not turn back on. The battery's fine. I got 68%. Yo, that's buck wild. Okay, you guys can see me now. Okay. Holy crap. When I said plutonium, is it when I said plutonium they did that? I think it's when I said plutonium, y'all. I think it is. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to continue because I don't want it to do it again. Okay, just let me know because the only way, okay. All right. So in the movie Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox, he was the young man. He was like friends with like a really weirdo scientific guy, you know, like an old mad scientist that's always doing experiments in his garage or what have you in his barn. So he had created a car that ran on plutonium, but it was with a flux capacitor on it. Okay. And the plutonium was the metal. Now he was, there were like terrorists chasing them because he was stealing plutonium from like terrorist cells. I don't know. I don't know if you guys remember. Remember, he was the doc was like running away from, and they ended up. I don't want to tell you the movie because if you haven't seen it, but you remember that. Can you guys hear me? Okay. It's a really good movie, and why I say it's good for you to watch it. It's weird. It's really doing some weirdness. Okay. It's a really good movie. And you can watch it with your children too. This is one of the movies that's kind of fun to watch with your little ones, okay? Because me and their dad watch with our little ones. And they love it. They love it. They love the movie. Okay, so plutonium is needed. So he would have to get plutonium and he would steal it from like terrorist cells or try to do exchange, okay? And plutonium metal is kind of like silver, but when it's exposed to oxygen, it turns to like a yellow or olive green. I don't know if that matters, but I just kind of looked that up. And on this, which I think is very interesting, because why I bring up the Trump thing also is that Trump represents 8, right? He's always represented by 8. I forgot why he's does anyone know why he's yeah, he stole it from the Russians. Thank you, Scotty. Scotty, remember, he stole the plutonium from the Russians. Scotty, you're so right. Okay. But do you remember why Trump is represented by 88? I don't remember, but in order for this time machine to work, they had to go 88 miles per hour for the flux capacitor to work. Did you hear me? They had to go 88 miles per hour for the flux capacitor to work. I think it's kind of interesting because as my technology started to work, the flux capacitor, it's interesting that Trump is like being pushed out and he was almost assassinated and all of these false flags are happening. Like, I feel like his representation is the Trump Towers. Remember, we talked about, I told you he's a Trojan horse. Okay. That he is literally resonating at the 88 frequency. And that is the frequency required for the flux capacitor to work. Because we think it's miles per hour, but it's a frequency thing. It's a resonance thing. So his being pushed out, he is the representation of the 88. That's what I think. Because when I saw it, I was kind of like weirded out. I was like, why is that? Why am I having access to this technology in me, which I liken to be the flux capacitor, and Trump is representing that 88, right? I think, y'all. I hope I'm right, right? And then because, okay, so they say that the 88 miles per hour was for them to achieve temporal displacement. Now, temporal displacement is for your body for everything to departicleize and like shatter out into the like quantum detangle, like for the quantum field to departicleize. That's the quantum. That's the temporal displacement, like to departicleize. You ever see like on Star Trek? He's like, Scotty, beam me up, and like they beam them up. They always triangulate them to find out their location, and then once they lock on them, they beam them up and they departicleize, and then they're particleized back. They become particleized back on the ship. Okay, and Biff looks like Trump. That's another residue resonating with Trump, because remember they talked about when it came back in the past again, Biff had become remember he had an old casino and he was running the town, Biff, and he was always likened to be Trump. Very good remembrance. So the 88 miles per hour was how we were able to achieve temporal displacement. What I said is that when I came back to the United States, I noticed that there isn't any more localizing to my dome. I am accessing outside of my dome and in multiple domes I'd not even accessed. Listen, I'm getting beings that I think are outside, somewhere outside the firmament, outside the firmament. Like I saw a being that was native. They were tall, and he had this woman. She looked almost like one of those native Aztecian women. Her hair was very straight, very Asiatic looking, dark. She had like the thing on her nose, like the sign on her nose, and they were big. They weren't small. And he had her in like a wooden kind of like pen. I know it's crazy, but I'm just saying, I'm seeing beings that I hadn't had access to. And when I was traveling through Mexico, also, I feel like I was accessing beings that were existing not only outside into those domes, but in other time space continuums. Like these were, I was accessing different times. Like it wasn't in 2024, 2016, 2012. No, these were times that were like maybe way before, where maybe the last 3 cataclysms existed. I just was seeing beings that were from different times. And I was wondering why I'm getting access to this, but because of the 88, which represents Trump, and me traveling and getting activated, my technology, this flux capacitor in me being activated, it literally was being turned on, and now the domes are now permeable. Plasma isn't petrified anymore. I'm able to go inside the different domes. And I don't even know if I'm in domes anymore. But the beings inside are literally from other time frames. That's how I knew it was a flux capacitor. That's why I likened it. I'm not saying, when I'm using that, I'm just using the term because I'm likening to that. Okay? It's not, I'm not using it as like definitive or concrete. I'm using it as I'm getting ringing. Hold on, y'all. I'm getting a message in this ear. Hold on. There's weird things happening on this. Maybe because I'm talking about it. It's very strange. It's in my ear now. Okay. All right, it's gone. So I would love your opinions, because remember, this is just stuff I'm kind of getting as I'm going on. Okay. And then, so the plutonium is important because I had to look up, I was like, okay, so the flux capacitor ran on the plutonium, but I was like, how could my body be likened to the flux capacitor? Where is the plutonium? Do we have plutonium in us? But apparently we do. And the large portion of plutonium in the body of adults is in the bone or in the liver. Listen to what I say. The large portion of plutonium, the little bit that we have in our body, is in adults. It's in the bone and it's in the liver. Plutonium is deposited mainly in the liver and the skeletal. I thought that was interesting. And then it's calculated in the body. Now, this is what's bugged out, because remember we did the whole P. Diddy, like remember the whole Sean Combs, they were showing his huge mansion in Florida and Miami, and then it kept showing this one thing with the 4 X's. Remember? I was showing you the 4 X's. I was like, that's represented as X. And then you see X and Twitter, all these X's represented it. It's interesting because with this calculation of the plutonium, it shows up as 10.3, 10 to the 3rd power, in between 10 to the 5th power, which is atoms. So what is 10 to the 3rd? What's in between 10 to the 3rd and 10 to the 5th? It's 10 to the 4th power. Now, I don't know if that matters, but the first thing I thought when I saw this, look, I can't make this up. See? Okay. Because I wrote it down. I took it down. And I wrote it down. It has been calculated that the human body always carries a base load of plutonium, 10 to the 3rd, they would split the minus, to 10 to the 5th. And I thought it was kind of interesting that would be 10 to the 4th. Like, could that be why they always have that X showing up? And when P. Diddy, they kept focusing on the 4 X's. Okay? And the 4 X's is the 4. Remember the 44,000, the 4,000, the 4 is always represented as that. I don't know. Just let me know if you think. Okay, so I would love to know your opinions, because I'm kind of drawing stories and I'm coming on with you where I haven't fully definitively broke things down. It's just like I'm brainstorming as I talked to you right before I came here. Okay, so the capacitor. Now I looked and said, okay, so why is the capacitor that they show us? Oh, where is it? Oh, I didn't show it. Okay, you see it on my pin. It looks like a Y. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, if I'm looking at these X's and it's represented by X, would the capacitator only have an X? So would it only have a Y looking thing, or would it have an X? I just asked the question. And then when I'm looking, I found out the capacitors connected line to line are X's. Capacitors, also called line to neutral, which we always talk about the 0 point, right? Capacitors. Those connected from the line to line are called, no, those connected to line to the ground are called Y capacitors. Y capacitors, okay? And also referred to line bypass capacitors. X capacitors are used for differential mode EMI filtering. Now, I know this doesn't matter. Some of you guys, I know the sun stars in here, you're way more into the capacitors. You probably know this language more than I, maybe engineers, maybe those into like mechanical things. I would love to hear your opinion as far as what you think that is. Because I kind of just took it down. It says safety capacitor standards, because a shorted Y capacitor could lead to the danger of an electrical shock. Y capacitors are held to a higher operating standard compared with X capacitors. During the certification process, 2 key tests performed are the impulse and endurance tests. These are done, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm reading really slow. These are done to verify that the XY capacitor can withstand 10 impulses of alternations. Listen what I said, 10. That's again the X. 10 impulses of alternated polarities. I don't know, guys, sun stars, you're better in this. I don't know if any sea stars, you're really kind of qualified to speak on this. I just thought I'd take those notes down to talk about that. Because why would they name capacitors after the very thing that makes us men and women? And then kind of liken it to how they're able to activate it, and what one is line to line, which is the X, and one is line to ground, which is the Y. I don't know if you guys can kind of break that down. I don't know. I would love your opinion. This is something I'm not vetted in. I can't qualify it, but I just wanted to take that down. We can short out as an electrical shortage, and higher frequency needs to have correct weights so not to blow lights or within. So interesting how seems to all apply. Thank you, KD. That makes sense. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's very important that it came up for a reason, and I think we have to pay attention to that. All right. So all this to say, and I'm not going to go too long on this. I would love to hear your opinions. And again, I wanted to share this with you because if I'm qualifying jumping domes as me accessing different frequency and vibrational qualifying energetics, right, that are influencing me and activating, there's something that happened when I was exposed to different visual geometrical shapes that were beyond my natural perceptional view just in my ordinary life, and then the photonic lights that came along with it, which I think Joel Brookman talked about that as well. Because when we project our reality with our thoughts, wavelengths of our thoughts, we create the photonic lights that express things, bounce, our reality back to us. Okay. But what I did by jumping domes too quickly, fast, and doing it in ways that are not normal, and I was in alignment with it. Remember, I'm a contactee. I come from a certain background. But there is something that happened to me within that time frame that unlocked my technology, and now I have access to beings, energetic beings, domes beyond the United Fakes. So I don't know how this is going to show up. I don't know what kind of, I haven't really socialized much since I've been back in the States, and I won't be back in the States that long. I got to go back outside the country for a little bit, but I don't know what I'm going to experience. Like, does this mean that not only are the beings that are in the astral planes or in my dreamscape that I'm seeing that aren't from here? Am I going to start to experience different types of beings out in the residue of my personal life? Like, I haven't really socialized much other than, you know, my personal family. The flux capacitor literally activated, and now it's permeated the different domes into like a plasma, and all these things are bleeding into my reality. Anyway, I thought I'd share it with you. I know it's a nerdy conversation. It's a really nerdy conversation, but many of you know me as a bit of a geek. So I would love all my science geeky people to kind of like add on, like, let me know what's going on. Like, give me an idea of what you think this is or what it means. Like, I'm open and receptive to your opinions, and like, especially our sun stars. You're way more qualified a lot of this, like, especially mechanics. It'd be interesting to know how this is, how it relates to the 8 or the 88881624 strand activation. Huge mind thing. Have you jumped through the holes? Well, Kate, I really feel like, because I'm going in, like I'm quantum leaping, because I went so quickly through these different domes, and I was activated, and also the Pequins in Argentina contacted me, and that came with the whole wall opening. I talked about that. There was so many things that happened in the south of South America. It was mind blowing. And I always usually stay in the north. I generally don't go so far south. But I was trying to contact the woman. Remember, I told you I was trying to contact the Antarctica Afro woman. That's Antarctica looks like the woman with the Afro. I was trying to contact her. She never contacted me. But I was contacted by Osayan, an Orisha, which I don't really get down with Orisha, Osayan, and then he told me where to go, and then the penguins talked to me. Penguins. I hope I pronounced it correctly. So it was interesting, and then I had a level contact on Tuesday before I left Bahia, but that was more personalized. Like certain things, I wouldn't say it was like telepathic and vision-based, but remember the beings there, they told me they would contact me on Tuesday. That's a whole nother conversation because it's so personal. I don't really share that. But I had contact with the beings I'm always in contact with in Bahia. But they told me something would happen on Tuesday, and it did. And the Osayan came up. Osayan is a nature-based Orisha male that I've never known about. And he was the one who called me to a specific place in South America. I didn't even know to go there. He was the one who told me to go there. And it's interesting. I was expecting to get information from the Antarctica, woman, but I got contact with them. So maybe it was them I was supposed to speak to or be in contact with. Maybe they were the ones I was supposed to be in contact with because of Osayan. You guys can look up the Orisha. I didn't know him. And then my girlfriend's mom had a huge statue of Osayan in her house, which I did. Like I said, it's very surreal when you get these wonderful, amazing things that occur. Because, I talk about the Orishas, like, what did the Orishas do for you? What did your Orishas do? I was talking mad smack about the Orishas. But a Orisha contacted me and told me the location, y'all, down to the place that I went. I don't talk about it because